Hello, today I'm going to show you how I did my health and ammo bar in one of my demos. A lot of people have asked me, well, more like 20 people, but I thought maybe someone would like to see a video. Uh, Unfortunately, as you can see on the screen, I'm running a 3 monitor layout, so that's going to be some monitor switching. However, let me show you first what I'm actually talking about. Let's just start the demo. There we go. We have our small player, and the bars we're talking about are the blue one and the green one right here. They represent, the blue represent health and the green represent ammo, as you can see. So let's just pick up a few weapons. There we go. And we should be able to see the bar complete. Yeah, it's working fine along with the ammo. Also, when we pick up a health, sorry, ammo, you can see the yellow is ammo. It should increase just a bit. I think this one is 10 ammo. Yep, and that one is a single one. Over here we have a few enemies, so you should be able to see the health bar go down as well. So let's just test that. Yep, works fine. And when we pick up some health, it should increase. That was 1 health, and that one, there we go, 10 health. And we got the ammo respawn. So, the questions I have been receiving is how I did this, because basically just posting the numbers, anybody can do that. And I intentionally, well, my intention was really to remove the text and just have the graphic representation along with the minimap over here. You can see the enemies are showing on the minimap. Well, it's entirely made with the NGUI and the PlayMaker. So let's just switch to my main screen. Here we go. As you can see, let's scroll down. I have my UI down here. This is the basic NGUI layout, and I have my thing set up down here. The graphics for the UI is, I think it's called, what's it called? Some sort of space UI. I can't remember its name, but I'm sure we can see it when we click on a sprite. So the HP bar, yeah, Black Market NGUI. I found it in the asset store. Pretty good. You can check out some of the sprites. And I've been using it a lot because I like it. But what basically happens here is we have our HP bar, and if I disable it, you can see it's sort of weird yellow down because that's the ammo bar we enable. And you can see there's an additional bar right here, but that's just for graphics, so we get this edge on the sides showing something, well, just a bit different. You can see it's nothing. It's actually a button behind everything. However, HP bar is blue, we can turn it off. Ammo bar is the yellow. And you can see it's yellow because I have selected the color to be yellow. So if we just hide this one, you can see the entire thing is actually yellow. And when we enable it, it's not. But what we actually are using is a slider bar. And you can see that's why there are two. There's one that's on, there's one that's off. So if we turn that one off, you can see it's empty. And when it's on, it's full. You can see fill amount. It's exactly the same as you would use for a slider to enable a user to turn up volume or down volume. But there's no button to drag. And you may wonder, well, you had 100 health as shown in the game, and you had 1000 ammo. How do you control that? Well, you can see the HP bar has a PlayMaker icon and ammo bar also have. So let's select the HP bar and switch to the PlayMaker window. There we go. You can see it's the HP bar. It only has one FSM. And basically what happens is when we start the game, it jumps down into this. It's going to find the closest player controller. And that's because I use controllers to manage health, ammo, lives, anything that has to do with the player. It's not so I don't have it all over the scenes. It makes it easier for me to make multiple levels. So the player controller is the one that controls anything regarding the player. And it's just going to store the object. I'm not going to use it now, but it's going to collect from the player HP and player health and store that value. Basically, I'm going to click on the player controller now. There we go. And you can see we have one called player HP. That is this one right here. It has a variable, sorry, called player health. And that is basically the start health of the player, and it's an int, not a float. It's basically just grabbing that number. Back to the bar, we grab the number, save it right here. We convert the number into a string. We then post the string on screen. That's just for the player to be able to watch it. And we jump over to this one, and basically it's just staying here until we need to update our health, well, at least the graphic. But basically it's going to do the same thing, just reversed. It's going to convert the int to a float. The float is going to be divided by 100 because when we look at a slider like this, the fill amount is determined by a number between 0 and 1. So I'm converting the number from 100 into something between 0 and 1. Switch back. So that's what's happening here. We know the maximum health is 100. The number that gets in here is the actual health right now. So if the player has 50 health, it's 50 divided by 100. And we're going to save it as a new number. The new number is then going to be set as the fill amount. Sorry, there. The fill amount on the slider bar. And we're just going to jump back to the update HP, meaning it's going to jump over here and reset everything and just jump over here and wait. It's not going to do anything until we get another update. That's basically the HP bar. The ammo bar is exactly the same. There we go, that's the ammo bar, but it's going to update along with HP. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm reducing the calls done per second. So I don't mind that every time a player fires a shot, it's going to update both HP and ammo. Every time the player receives damage, it's going to update both damage and HP. Okay, let's go back to the main screen. Up here you can see the controllers I talked about. I have a game controller that really controls in this. Let me drag this over here. That's the PlayMaker window. In this game, it only controls one thing: quit on key. That's just a way to escape the game or quit the game once playing. The player controller, it's just a game object. However, it serves a couple of purposes. As you can see, we're going to start, and it's going to initiate. It's going to start the main camera. And the reason for that is because when the player dies, if you have the camera attached directly to the player, it's going to be destroyed and you have to create a new camera. And the second you destroy the camera, you will get an error on the game engine. So when my player dies, he's going to remove the camera, reset it to this position. It's going to find the camera. And it's basically, this is only the first time. It's going to store the rotation and the position of the main camera. Jump over here. It's going to check if the player is dead. No, he's not. And it's going to check HP anti-cheat. That's just, well, it's not really anti-cheat, it's just to make sure the player won't be able to get more than 100 health. If the player has more than 100 health, we're going to jump into this and set the limits to 100, then go back. It can be cheating, but also if the player is at, let's say, 98% health, and he picks up a health pack with 10 health, instead of him being at 108, he's now only going to be 100. Also, down here we have the die. If the player has less or equal to 0 health, he's going to die. Basically, it's going to run everything, but the important one is this one. We're going to unparent the main camera and just let it stay right where it is. And we're going to show scores and GUI and everything. If the player is going to respawn, we are going to reset the camera as shown here, and then jump back up to reset the player, where we're going to parent the camera with the new spawn player. That's just the player HP. But the only thing we're going to work with, or working with, while working with HP is the limit. It's basically a clam. But I like to check the clam. I don't trust them. Also, the player health right here. And, okay. But how do you check if the player is being hit? Well, that's easy. I have a folder called Projectiles. I have 2 different projectiles right now, the enemy and my own. The enemy AI, shot, is basically just a empty game object with some light and a cube in it. However, it's going to check for the player controller, that's this one up here, and it's going to store it as a target. Then it's going to wait until it triggers. So when this thing is spawned, you can see over here, it's going to fire in a direction. It has a script attached to it. It's basically just going to move the object in a certain direction it's facing at a given speed. That's 20 right here. If the projectile hits anything on the way, so it either hits a player or a block, I've tagged the walls with the tag block. On a block hit, it's just going to destroy itself. However, on a player hit, jump up here, get the player health from the controller, which is stored right there. It's going to operate, and the damage is really determined by a variable right here. So if I wanted to design a new projectile, I can just duplicate this, change damage value and possible speed, and it does a different type of damage. So right now the damage is 2, meaning a hit will do 2 damage. That's what this is doing. Subtract from player health. Right now it's 0, but eventually it'll be 100. Subtract 2. Save the new health. Set the new health to the player health in the controller. Flip the bool called player hit. This one is important because we have a few global booleans that is basically triggers and listeners. But let's just keep it as this right now. Player hit. It's going to flip that regardless if it's true or false, and it doesn't matter. next frame, finished, and it's just going to destroy itself. So we don't have projectiles flying through everything. The boolean I was talking about is when something happens, these need to update. And I often have those called player changed. So you can see player live. That's nothing. It's just to upgrade my players eventually. We also have a ammo control. It's the same as the health control, a max value of 1000. So if we get more, it will automatically just flip it right back. HP bar update. It's really simple. And let's try to load another scene where it's more where you're more able to see what's going on. Did I load? Yeah, I think so. Just give it a few. For some reason, Unity becomes really slow when I'm recording. Okay, here we go. The demo scene, so let's just switch the camera. There we go. Hit play. Oh yeah, there's also a lights. Turn light on and off. But as you can see, it's very hard to actually see the bullets if it wasn't for the green laser lights. This could be painful, but luckily there was an elevator. And dead. 5 seconds. That's basically how everything works. And it's exactly the same setup as before. I'm using the projectiles to control what I'm hitting and what I'm not hitting, and even the enemies. So let's see, we have 2 turrets right here. You can see they have a AI attached to it. The AI is a series of functions checking for angle. If the player is in viewable angles, that means in front of the enemy, it's in range, and if all of these are true, then it's actually going to start firing. And you can see that some of them, they are actually going to move towards the player. And all enemies have a health system as well. Game controller, player controller. It's exactly the same as the first one. Sorry. There we go. Live. See where it's. There we go. Bull flip. These are important again. Flipping the respawn or flipping player life. Whenever player life is flipped, it's going to update the GUI. Or at least it's supposed to. If you have any questions or comments about this, please let me know. If you feel I should build a example of this, also let me know. The only reason I haven't done it is because building these examples can really take quite a long time. Because then you will find some bugs or you need to sort something out that you weren't prepared for. However, everything is working without any coding. Well, that's a lie. Of course, it's a lie because I do have a few scripts, but basic scripts, you can see the fire direction, the one I'm attaching to the projectiles, it's only 2 lines. The float speed and rigid body velocity equals transform forward times speed. That's just it. And you can see the player controller. It's the very, very basic player controller. It's just getting the input accesses and turning them into a movement, or sorry, transform. Destroy object, that's just a lifetimer in case one of the bullets fly out of the screen. It shouldn't happen, but in case it does, you can set it to only live for X amount of seconds. Then it would destroy itself. That's just really to prevent a huge amount of projectiles being outside of the map, just filling up the memory. PlayMaker, NGUI, you got everything you need. And you can see all of these blacked out ones is basically just the warnings. Go. So, if you have any questions, comment, rate, and please subscribe. I'll be uploading a few more Unity tutorials in the near future. And if you have any special requests, well, I would really appreciate it if you would let me know. Thank you. See